Welcome to HotLogic Live, where we finally answer the question, who are these guys? What are we doing here? And most important of all, why are we here? Today, at our inaugural episode, we have two very special gentlemen to introduce to you. Some folks have already met them. Many folks know them well. A few perhaps know them too well. We'll get into that later. They are, of course, Tom Cusick and Paul Langel. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Yes.
After that introduction, I'm not sure, but it's good to be here.
I'm not done yet. I am well known for my introductions. These gentlemen who I have come to know and love, but more importantly, respect, right? That's what Tom wanted to hear.
It is.
Have forgotten more about the unattended retail business than I will ever learn, to be sure. That's one of the reasons why they are here, but we're going to peel back that onion a few more layers today to find out what's going on. Both of these gentlemen have decades of experience in the space. The thousands of customers served, satisfied customers, might I add, but something that they also share in common that perhaps not everyone knows. Both of these gentlemen have a passion for doing things better, right? Seeing progress made in this space, and most importantly of all, finding new ways to service customers. Because in the world in which we live, that's becoming more and more difficult to do every day. So with that, it is my honor, sirs, to welcome you to the podcast.
We are honored.
Thank you again.
Yes. So if I might just start, I'll give these gentlemen a chance to introduce themselves. Paul, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Most of my background for the last 20 plus years has been in the food and beverage industry. Started out with Coca-Cola, made my transition to Canteen, where I ran a canteen operation for just about 12 years, and left there, and then spent a few years with Canteen National Accounts, which is Canteen 1, and spent a few years there, and then spent a few years with 365 Retail Markets and doing sales there. So my background, like I said, has been in the vending markets, a little bit of dining, and substantial operational as well as sales experience in the industry. So like I say, a little over 20, almost 25 years in total in the operations and the sales side of the business, in the food and beverage business.
So Paul's a lot older than he looks.
Yeah, he's older than me.
Right? Right? Yeah. About 110 last we count. Yeah. That was a lot of candles on that birthday cake, let me tell you.
Like a forest fire.
Right. All right, Tom. All right. Talk to us. Who is Tom Cusick? Or Q, as I've learned that his friends call him, or have I already outed you?
No. That's been around since elementary school. You haven't outed me.
Well, we're going to dig into that.
What do I 35 years in sales and operations. Sold various types of lines, everything from sporting goods to garbage service to vending. And I spent, for the last 15 to 20 years, I've been in the manual food service, contract food, and the vending world. Like Paul, working with Compass Group, and also work with 365, now with HotLogic, and worked with a food broker. So I've got a lot of experience in and out of not only the vending and micro market space, but also manual food service and dining operations. I sold tech to that space for a while. So, vending, garbage. I used to lie to my mother and tell her I was a doctor.
We keep coming back to this garbage theme.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun one.
Spent some time in garbage.
We got to talk about that.
It's always picking up.
All right. But I think what the audience is probably wondering at this point, what are these two guys doing here together? How long, what they might not know is these guys have worked together for a little while. How long have you guys been working, either client or vendor or employee or boss, or how long has this going on?
That's a good question. It's probably been at least 6 years, 7 years.
I don't know. When did you come back?
Total?
Yeah, Paul's with Canteen for years, ran a branch, then left. I came on with Compass Group in 2008. Hired Paul back to Compass Group in
2019.
19, was it 19?
Mm-hmm.
18. Worked with me on national accounts. I then, during COVID, moved on. I was working with 365. Paul later came to 365. We were both in a sales capacity in kind of different channels. And then now we're here together. So yeah, we tend to follow one another around. Yeah.
I'm sure there's something to that story.
I don't know.
Do you hunt together? Do you
We
fish
won't go
together?
there.
Do you ski together? Do you bike
No.
together?
No, that's
No,
it. Just
that's
work,
it.
fortunately. Other than that, we stay away from one another.
Yeah, try to.
Something to be said for that, I am sure. Okay, so we're here to talk about unattended retailing, and of course, a lot of our audience probably knows what that's all about, but a lot of our audience might not. Can you give us a rundown? It used to be called vending, I think, maybe. Now it's unattended retail, right? They workshopped that one for a long time.
Vending for a long time. I think of the two black boxes, a soda machine, a snack machine. People think of old vending operators sitting in a garage with a light bulb swinging above their head counting quarters.
Right.
It was old, it was antiquated. And then the industry really didn't change for a long time. The biggest change that they actually had was when National came out with the 187, the 6 wide. It was because it was platinum in color. It was just a different color box, which actually drove sales because people started to notice something was different when they walked past the when they walked past the employee break room. 2012 time period was really when the micro markets started to hit. Companies like Company Kitchen, companies like Avanti were real leaders in that. So Compass picked up with it, Canteen and others really in 2012. And then you had vending, you had micro markets, and the whole unattended reference and rebranding kind of came probably, it's pre-COVID, but they just gave a new name to, it was really the micro market space because the highlight was it's an unattended area where you can go in and shop. And sales were up 25 to 30% over traditional vending because people could, they could grab the food, they could look at it, they didn't have to get the next candy bar or snack or bottle that fell out of the spiral. They could take a different one and look and feel, and food tends to be a very emotional and visual buy. So, yeah, they give it a fancy name, unattended retail.
Yeah. And I'll alternate between you two. Okay, Paul. Paul, here's your challenge. What today would you say is the greatest challenge that the unattended retail space faces?
Ooh, that's a great. I think the biggest.
You can't phone a friend.
Yeah,
You're on the spot here.
I think the biggest challenge is in any unattended retail is growing the business. Well, it's a couple things. It's growing the business, existing business, year-over-year sales, but then making customers happy. In this industry, we talk about it all the time. Tom and I talk about it. In this industry, you never hear anything good. You just hear the bad. That's the tough part of it. So it's making customers happy, and because you don't hear anybody say that's the best Snicker bar that I've ever had, or that's the coldest Coca-Cola or whatever product they're purchasing out of. That's the coldest product that I've ever had. It's the issues. They remember what went wrong instead of what went right. So that's the biggest challenge is making people happy. Year-over-year sales in specific accounts, existing accounts, and growing your business in some form or another. It could be pricing, it could be new products, whatever it is. But as Tom mentioned, with the evolution of micro markets, that escalated the sales quite a bit. You can transition a traditional vending bank to a market and almost double your sales overnight in specific accounts. So, but to answer your question, I think it's growing the business, year-over-year sales, and making customers happy.
Tom, would you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I agree. And the growth of the business, I mean, in a lot of service business, you're only as good as yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what are you doing for me today? What have you done lately? What's going to change? COVID's had a tremendous effect on it because people got so accustomed to being at home and walking the dog at 12 and working out when they wanted, getting their work done. But, now driving back into the city or paying for parking or taking a train, it's really, people push back, and getting people back in those seats has been tough. So how do we make the workplace look different now than it was when they left? Because it's very important, but they don't want to come back to the same old thing. So it's in the case of hot food that we're going to talk about, that's a big push. And I really feel, again, hot food and micro markets is a byproduct largely of COVID. And the reason I say that is COVID forced, we closed down. Manual food service just went away for a good number of months. And, the big three, the food service operators, are putting a zero on the board in billion-dollar operations. Canteens stayed in, and the vending operators stayed in the essential businesses, and the micro markets were still there. And now, even today, when not as many people have gone back to the office and they expect some more, not all those cafes reopened. A lot were loss-making cafes functioning on a P&L, and those food service operators just aren't going back in until there's enough people walking through the door. So a lot of the clients have looked at the vending micro market operators and said, okay, you've been here through thick and thin. We need a hot food solution, and we need you to figure it out. Because they really didn't think about hot food in the past. I mean, that was always the dining operator to deal with, and that was their, they stayed in their lanes. They did unattended, they did sodas and snacks, and that was really the wheelhouse. But now that they've really been forced to take a much harder look at food and food service and offering hot meals, it's been a big challenge for them. I mean, there's a lot of different solutions that have come out, and some have worked pretty well, others have not worked well at all. And that's why we're so excited about this machine. To your right, the new HL32. It's got a lot of potential, and people love what they see. Yeah. And one of the big things about it is, you've got other companies out there that are providing a hot food machine and solution, but what some of the operators don't love is they don't control the food that goes into it. The food kind of comes with the machine, if that makes sense. And operators really want to control that food, control their margins, control what's going in there, the quality of the food, the expense, things of that nature. So again, it goes back to this machine, which is really nice because we're providing a tremendous heating, holding, and warming solution, but the operator controls the food that goes into it. And it's not just your traditional commercial, lean cuisine in a box or a frozen pizza, things of that nature. So the offerings are significantly elevated, which are going to draw customers.
Well, certainly, you two work well. I think you might have practiced that. That dovetailed pretty well. So a lot's been, hot meals, of course, are all in the conversation, but a lot has also been made at the federal level about nutrition and changes made. They're flipping the food pyramid upside down and such. Does any of that have any impact on the unattended retail space, or is that 5 years down the line, we're not thinking about that yet?
I think it has a significant impact, especially with corporations when they're dealing with insurance companies, because there are I don't even know the term, but kickbacks. I would use it as a kickback or benefits to the company if they provide, or they can prove that they provide a healthier environment, healthier options in vending or markets or dining, whatever it is. So it's significant. Can be a significant impact for companies.
Do we call it rebate?
You can call it a rebate.
A kickback is a loaded term.
Yeah, from insurance companies.
I grew up in the Northeast, so kickback's familiar to me.
Yeah. But it's that. Yeah, that's yes. To answer your question, it's a huge benefit to companies as long as they can provide a healthy alternative to their employees. And it can be, in their vending markets, dining, or it can be on the, facilities that they have the capability to provide for their employees to work out and show them.
But you're talking about an industry that sells soda pop and potato chips and cookies and candy, in addition to snack wraps and sandwiches and other such things. A lot of their business is based on these foods that are, we'll categorize them as treats,
right,
and snacks.
Well, that's all they've sold, and even to this day, you can put, sad to say, but you can put a lot of healthier alternatives in a market or a vending machine, but you still sell sodas, chips, snacks, candy, whatever it is. But it's giving those people the alternative should they want to utilize that and purchase it. That's the key.
Yes.
And providing that so they can have a healthier lifestyle.
Is that why vending, unattended retail, is so focused right now on hot meals because they see this change coming, or they're trying to anticipate, skate to where the puck is going to be. This change is coming. Is that what it is, or is this a natural evolution of the business? This is what's next, hot meals.
I don't think that's what's driven hot meals. I mean, flipping of the pyramid, me personally, I think it's something that's down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, salty sweet, the junk food that we've been eating for years has always been out there. The dietitians that work at these insurance companies and everybody else have been aware of them. They know that there's better options, and I don't think because taking carbs from the top to the bottom of the pyramid, is gonna change that. Certainly, they'd like to see healthier offerings in the markets, but that's always been a request from insurance companies. And I think where you're going to see it rear its head first is most likely in K through 12 and school systems and higher ed and places like that. But still a choice. I personally just think it's somewhere down the road. I mean, food choices and food selection and healthy eating has been something that's been prevalent in our society for, I think they gave up on the pyramid, quite frankly. A long time ago.
Yes.
So we've gone away from that. So yeah, there's been some changes, and I think it will impact the industry. But back to your question of has this driven food service, it's going to, it'll impact certainly the operators that are producing out of their own commissaries. But that's the nice thing about this machine. I go back to saying where the operator wants to control the food that we put in it. They can handle that from cradle to grave because they produce the food and they produce the offerings before it's in there. When you're with a company maybe where the food comes along with the heating unit itself, you're then reliant on that company to change their practices and what they prepare for a meal, and you don't control it. And I think that the operators would rather have the control on their side and in their hands than leave it up to somebody else to dictate what's offered in their markets, if you will.
Well, you speak about this change that's coming, hot meals, and hot meals, having the machine as well as the meals to put inside the machine. A soda pop can last for months on the shelf. A candy bar can last for months. I don't know what the expiration dates are.
Soda pop's about 180. A canned soda is around 180 days. Your carbonated soft drink, 20 ounces, is 90 days.
Candy bar?
From production. Candy bars will last just a little bit shorter period of time than a cockroach, I think.
Well, I'm a nutrition nut. My audience knows I'm a nutrition nut, but I love candy bars. I love cookies, and I love soda pop. I try not to drink it as much as I used to, but I love these products. We love these products. We're Americans. These are the products we eat. Popcorn, potato chips, yeah. But of course, as Tom suggests, we need to take a hard look at nutrition and wellness because that's a thing, particularly old guys like me, right? As we get older, we're all dying at different rates, as my granddaddy used to say. These are things that we have to consider. But this is complicated. Putting the meals inside the machine, it's easier to slide a soda pop into a machine than it is to stock meals day to day, right? Who are, in terms of this change that's coming, so folks know who to keep an eye on, are you willing to put your finger on some operators that you place a bet on that these folks know what they're doing, they're on the ball, they can adapt to this change, they can do it quickly, and they're going to lead the pack? Are you willing to make any predictions about operators that are making things happen?
I honestly think when you get into the unattended space and the vending operators, it might take them a little longer. When you go to contract food, like with Aramark, Sodexo, with Compass Group, with Urest and Flick and RA, and when you get into those sectors, they live and die by food. That's all they do.
Yeah.
They're completely represented by how good a food, how they produce, and the offerings that they supply. They're not relying on Mars and Hershey to put out a good product. They create it on their own. So I think the understanding of something like this and seeing the different opportunities of where this could apply, whether you're using it as a hot hold unit, where you're holding already cooked and prepared meals at temperature, or you're actually using it to cook and retherm and then hold. They're going to have, I think they're just going to grasp it a little more quickly. But really, the design was for the unattended operator because it's, to quote Ron Popeil, you like to set it and forget it.
Yes.
But I think it's nice that it extends over different groups, whether it's unattended or attended space. It fits in very well in both. But I just think the mindset of, as I alluded to earlier, some of these operators, specifically vending and micro market, it's going to be the first introduction into hot food, you know, and largely, but a lot of them aren't going to get into it because they just don't have a supplier for hot food. They don't have an avenue. They don't have a commissary. They're not, you know, maybe they're buying from a commissary that really only produces sandwiches and wraps and things of that nature. They don't really have full service entree type meals. But when you get to the bigger operators that are out there, the Imperials, the Continentals, the 5 stars, that do such heavy production in their commissary space, you know, I think they're going to be real quick to adopt to something like this. And obviously, Canteen and Aramark and others, you know, they get it, and they're going to see the benefit and hopefully jump on sooner rather than later. Where we've shown it, we've had tremendous response to it. Yeah, feedback's been great.
Any predictions on operators that are the ones to watch in this new transition to hot food?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Tom said, it's the operators that have the capability that have a commissary that can provide their own meals. They're going to be the ones that should be able to adapt to this and have success. Not that you have to have a commissary, but as Tom mentioned, have that capability to provide their own meals for profitability, the margin side of it, and have that control to be able to put in here. It's a great opportunity because it's the people that see the opportunity. It's an entirely new market because it's been in demand for years. Even in my operating days, having my own operation, it was almost daily people were asking for how can I get my employees hot meals other than the microwave. So it's the adapters. You know, if you're looking for specific accounts, Tom just mentioned a bunch of them. It's the leaders in the industry. They're going to jump on it. But there are a lot of independents that have commissaries. They seem to move a little bit quicker because they can, and it's easier for them to adjust. So I think they're the ones that they're going to excel well in this if they jump on it.
We'd like to think so. Yeah. Of course, we'll find out. The likely winner may be a surprise. Who knows? I don't have the answer. That being said, this lovely machine that Tom referred to on my right, the HL32. Tom, what is this machine all about?
Funny you should ask. It's all about hot meals. No, I mean, we really designed this around how to make hot meal offering easy for the operator. You know, you mentioned it's easy to load, you know, it's easy to open a cooler door and load beverages in there. It's even easier to load hot meals in this. It's literally about, you open the door, you load meals, you close the door, and those meals cook, as again, they can cook from raw, frozen, refrigerated, and it's filling a gap that the operators, making it easy for the operators, because it's a challenge of how do you transport hot meals to an unattended space and then hold them to temperature in that space. Unless you've got an attendant there or unless you're there 3 times a day, it's been a significant challenge. You know, this checks those boxes. This unit, depending on how you set it up from the time it unlocks when meals are prepared and safe and ready to eat, you can set a timer on it and those meals can be available to your customers for anywhere from 2 hours to 8 hours. And the great thing about this machine is we don't heat the box. It's conduction heating, so the heating process happens between the shelf and the bottom of the vessel that the food is in. Ideally flat bottom for maximum contact on the shelf, and a sealed lid to keep the moisture in there. We don't ever let the temperature go up to a point where it would break the vapor barrier, so there's no explosions, you're not blowing the lid off, you're not breaking the seal, there's not splatters, we don't burn, there's no hot spots. The moisture remains in there, and that's why we can hold so long. A lot of people are going to look at it and think it's just a 32 shelf hot plate, but it's not. You know, there's microprocessors in there. Every one of those shelves functions independently of one another. So it's like 32 little ovens in there. You can add 32 different meals. They'll all cook at their own pace. And when they're all ready, that door will unlock and people enjoy them.
He's a born pitchman. We're not going to turn this into a commercial, I promise, right? But hear me out. I'll ask one more question. Paul, I love putting Paul on the spot. Paul, how have operators reacted to this product recently?
Reaction has been terrific. The key to this, Tom just mentioned a bunch of them, but I think the big key that operators love about it is the controlled access portion of it. because safety, food safety in general, is really key for the operators, whether it be on markets, vending, or dining. But with that controlled access, once you load the meals, it locks once you close that door, and the meals are not available until it reaches that pathogenic-free temperature of 165 degrees, and it retains that. Tom mentioned it can hold that temperature anywhere from 2 up to 8 hours, but the meals are not available for anybody to purchase until it reaches that temperature. Every single one of those meals, and it's not just one. So even if a shelf has a glitch, or somebody puts a meal in there that may be frozen, whatever it is, after the meals are done, the machine completely shuts down. So you don't, there's, I guess you can put safety measures in there as far as the controlled access. An operator doesn't need to worry about that when it comes to health standards and safety for their customers. They're not going to get a bad meal out of this. They're all going to be at the perfect temperature of 165 degrees and not have to be concerned about that.
This is true, and I can testify to that fact. But this is, of course, a brand new piece of equipment. Has there ever been anything like this in the market?
Nothing that's functioned like it. No, there hasn't been.
And
that was a design that we came up with collaboration with one of the bigger operators, with Canteen, and we really designed it with a lot of their input. So this is, I started those conversations 8 months ago. So it's a byproduct of very recent conversations. Nothing has been out like it.
A brand new machine in an industry that is, I'm going to say, fully mature. The challenge of introducing a brand new machine to an industry that is fully mature is not insignificant, because momentum, objects at rest tend to stay at rest. What are the biggest challenges HotLogic faces in introducing this technology to this market?
You get a lot of old school operators that don't think outside the box, but they're being pushed into a corner and they're having to solution issues like hot food. What Paul mentioned, there's always, the number one concern is food safety. So when we talk about controlled access on this particular unit, as Paul mentioned, when you load meals in there, that door locks down until every single one of those meals is properly heated and is pathogen free and is in a safe serving temperature. And the door does not unlock until that's the case. So in that way, it prevents somebody from reaching in and grabbing a meal that has not yet reached proper temperature or has not exceeded 165 degrees as required. And we've locked that out. There's safety measures obviously beyond that. If there's power failures, it locks. If there's a shelf issue, it locks. If any of the meals, just one meal itself drops down below a safe temperature, the unit itself will lock. So that's one of the biggest concerns and questions you get from operators. It's great, but I'm not there to keep an eye on it. What are the safety? How do I feel safe about this when I go to bed at night? When I leave that operation and I know that there's hot food sitting out there available to my customers, and I'm not there to watch it. So safety has really been at the forefront when we designed this piece of equipment.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. All right, Paul, I'm going to put you on the spot once more. In introducing a new product to a mature market, in this work, what is it that you enjoy most? Because I know, as an operator yourself, back in the day, right? Of course, you've been in this space for decades. No doubt you enjoyed it, right? But now you're working, of course, the manufacturer side of the business. What facet of that business do you enjoy the most?
The reason I came to HotLogic is because I see an opportunity in this to help operators generate an incremental revenue from where they currently are. It's a demand in the industry, and it's across the board. We've mentioned it's from vending to micro markets and in the dining. People ask for this in those off hours that a cafeteria is shut down. Or employees don't have they've got 30 minutes and there's no hot food options, and they need to drive 2 miles down the road and get back, and they're eating in their car, whatever it is. But it's a huge demand in the industry. It's exciting. It's a great product. The quality of the meals that come out of these units is unreal. I was shocked when I came on board. When I tested it out, I have one at home that I use constantly. So it's a totally different meal than what you would get out of a microwave. You know, you're not getting the rubbery cheese. You're not having to lift the lid open and stir it after 2 minutes and put it back another 2 minutes. You don't touch it. So it's a cool product, and for the right meals, it brings out a great product. And being able to take that to an industry that Tom and I have been in for a long time, it's fun because I think it's in demand. It's a need. And it's pretty cool that we can take it to our friends, our colleagues, new people that we're just meeting in the industry, and we feel confident we've got a product that we can help them. It's not like us taking a product that we're unsure about and trying to slam it down their throat. It's a cool product, and they're for the right customer, for their right customers. It's not for everybody, but for their right customers, it's a way for them to make incremental revenue and a whole new product line that they haven't been able to tap into for a long time. So it's fun.
Yes. Okay, Tom, I'm going to ask you the same question because I know this is not easy work. Change is difficult, right? But what's one facet of this work that you enjoy?
Yeah, change is tough, but when you walk into a piece of equipment that looks that good, it makes it a little bit easier. You know, I think everybody's, especially we're in its infancy. The unit sitting next to you is a prototype. We're still working out some of the bugs and glitches here to try and make it as safe as possible. But you know, people look at it and say, well, it's a hell of a good looking prototype. So it sells itself really visually when you get there, which is great. I mean, it's a great looking machine just sitting on its own. We designed it so that it would roll right into the micro market space. You know, it'll fit in the surrounds, it'll get through doors. It's basically the same size as a cooler, so it fits in very nice. But it was purpose built that it didn't look like a cooler. We didn't want it to just look like something else in there. We want to draw your attention to it. It's exciting to go out and introduce a new product, especially to an industry that needs that product, you know, and they're accepting of it. It's a challenge, yes, because you got to retrain there. It's not a microwave. You don't smash atoms together for 3 minutes, and it's a very violent process.
Smash atoms,
you know?
yes.
Yeah, and it's you know, there's some forethought before it. You've got to plan those meals, so you're loading breakfast at 5:30 so that it's ready at 6:30 when people show up or the cafe opens. So there's a little bit of planning ahead of it. But as Paul alluded to, other applications that we immediately didn't think of right in the beginning, like third shifts. You know, yeah, people have to leave and eat in their car, but you think it's 2 o'clock in the morning, there's nowhere to go in a car, nowhere's open. You know, so you know, maybe you're hitting McDonald's drive-through that's 24 hours, but this provides you hot food right where you work. So you're not losing time in your car. It's a hot meal there. It can be set even if a cafe closes at 10 o'clock at night. You know, they can load it up before they leave, and it keeps hot meals available to those folks who are there overnight that really, to this point, haven't had that opportunity to eat a good meal unless they were cooking something in a microwave.
Yeah, it's providing a benefit to food service customers, employees, which the turn around, it's the company providing a benefit that the employees should appreciate, whether it's manufacturing, white collar, whatever it is, because right now most places don't have something like this. So a hot meal, not everybody wants a hot meal every day. We get that. Some people want their wedge sandwich every single day, but who doesn't want a hot meal at certain times? So it's a benefit to the employees in any operation to have a hot meal at any time. So it's a huge tool.
And you asked earlier, what's one of the toughest challenges that these operators have these days, and that's changing your offerings and making yourself different every day. You know, it's day by day. How do you change? How does it look different when somebody comes to the office? All of a sudden, they've got availability of hot meals. You know, sure, there's a special run of Doritos that are going on for the next 3 months. Not real exciting, but sometimes that's all you got to offer.
Yes.
So this is really going to be a game changer for the industry, because suddenly they're going to have a very viable solution to hot food in their space.
Well said. Okay, Final Jeopardy, right? Where we compete for real prizes.
Points going to double here?
Yes, points are going to double. Okay, the unattended retail space, very mature industry, but it's time to make predictions. 10 years from now, 10 years from today, will the unattended retail industry be bigger than it is today, the same, or smaller? What are your predictions? And feel free to put a number on it.
So I don't know a number. I don't think it's going to go backwards, certainly. Yeah, it's going to continue to grow. It's going to evolve like it has for the past 13 years, really, that it's been a dominant player in the unattended space. But again, it's how do you continually improve yourself and stand out from the competition? How do you refresh yourself every few days or few weeks or months to your customer? What looks different? What keeps them coming in? I just think, this is the greatest and latest today. There'll be even more tomorrow and next week and next year. So, I think the opportunities of unattended spaces, especially, we're seeing more and more of this robotics and the unfortunate disappearance of the human being and the human conversation and touch. But it's so I think unattended spaces it's going to continue to grow, whether we want it to or not. It's going to be a byproduct of technology and the way that the world is going these days. So, we don't have to feed robots, but we got to figure out how to feed spaces where there's people are around, but there's not people to tend to them.
Yes. Paul, predictions 10 years from now?
Yeah, I can't put a number on it either, honestly, but it's going to grow. In products like the HL32 innovation that we're bringing in, that's just going to help the industry. It's a whole new, I mentioned it before, it's a whole new avenue for operators to tap into to help grow their revenue in existing business, gain new business, retain business, whatever it is. But I see the industry growing with innovation like this. Like I mentioned, it's just an opportunity for them to take their existing business and tap into revenue that they haven't been able to get before. So this is just one to become. So 10 years down the road, it's going to dramatically increase. We've seen it increase dramatically over the last 10 years. And markets help that. And it's going to keep on growing for a long time.
Well, I would agree. And in the spirit of the Price is Right, I'm going to add $1 to your bid. I'm going to say the unattended retail space in the next 10 years is going to double because people want their food where they want, when they want, and how they want it. And the unattended retail space is the only space that's going to be able to deliver that to them. That's my prediction. Mark the date. There it is, right? The final thoughts, gentlemen, before we wrap up this inaugural episode of HotLogic Live?
No, I'd like to thank you for having us in.
Of course. It is my honor. Thank you. As our audience will grow to understand, it is our goal to bring guests in that shine a spotlight on the unattended retail space and all the challenges and opportunities that abound in order to achieve those goals. We hope to impress our audience with guests that are even more impressive than these two gentlemen, if that's possible.
I was going to say, so that means you're not going to see us again.
It's not reaching very far.
No, that's a deep pool of people that are more impressive than us.
Humble gentlemen that they are. Well, that wraps this episode. Thank you for watching. For those on Spotify, thank you for listening. We'll include, although it'll drive them crazy, we're going to include the LinkedIn profiles of these two gentlemen in the caption. Please feel free to reach out to either of them to connect, because that's what we do. We'll include product information in the caption. Submit your information. If you like a pilot, we're accepting pilot applications now. Production coming up in March. If any questions come up for your dear host, Bernie Youngblood, I'll put my contact details in the caption as well. That's the episode. Peace.